MIDI is an acronym for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. It's not a physical object that one can touch and see, but is a set of standard communication specifications for transmitting musical information between electronic instruments or between electronic instruments and a personal computer. The MIDI specification, which was first released in 1983, was developed out of musicians' interests in finding ways to get synthesizers from one manufacturer to talk to those from another. Keyboard players wanted to be able to simultaneously generate sounds from many instruments, but were physically limited to playing only two at a time. The solution that they found was to develop a communications protocol that would allow a master keyboard to control all of the other instruments. Computer users soon recognized the value that the MIDI standard offered them. Rather than using a keyboard as the control device, they could use the computer as the master controller, and with MIDI software and a piece of hardware called a MIDI interface, they found that they could manipulate musical information in ways that had previously been impossible.
The MIDI in connection goes to MIDI out on the keyboard, and the MIDI out on the MIDI box goes to MIDI in on the keyboard. This is an example of a simple setup. The Apple MIDI box can also hook up to a more complex setup with multiple keyboards and drum machines. These can be daisy-chained, connecting the throughs of each keyboard, or a MIDI through box can be used, connecting all of the MIDI ins. I can also change the sounds on the various sound modules. Let's take the melody track for instance. The melody thus far has been played on a trumpet sound. I can change this sound to be the sound of an organ. Now I can change the sound again to a harpsichord, while performer is playing back the composition. It enables the musician to edit sounds while the track is actually being played back. It can expand a musician's creative outlets. A single musician can compose or experiment all the parts of a song before the other musicians are brought in. It can also save musicians time and money. Complete compositions can be worked out in advance, saving on studio costs which can exceed $100 an hour. In addition, a complete composition can be stored on a floppy disk and taken to a MIDI studio for recording.